Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to another standard gameplay in the new Bloomburrow format. And today we are doing a red, white or Boros mice deck. So we have a lot of new mice to play with, and the key theme for mice is Valiant. Valiant is a new mechanic that's pretty similar to an old mechanic called Heroic, and Valiant basically says whenever you target your the creature Valiant with a spell or ability for the first time each turn, you do something. For example, Flowerfoot Swordmaster has whenever you target with a spell or ability for the first time each turn, mice you control get +1/+0. It is only for the first time each turn, but it's not your turn, so you can do it on your opponent's turn to get additional value if you need me. So let's get into the new cards. We do have quite a few of them. Said Flowerfoot Swordmaster. It has Offspring, which is another new mechanic, which is essentially kicker. When you cast it, you can pay the Offspring cost, in this case 2, and when it ETBs, you get a copy of it that is a 1/1, but obviously has all the same abilities. So this Valiant is mice you control get +1/+0 to the end of the turn, included in itself. The Offspring on this one isn't that impressive. A lot of the Offspring's abilities don't require will do something for the entire team, or so for example the Lizards deck we played earlier, the Iridescent Vine Lasher, it has a landfall trigger, so it doesn't matter how many copies of the creatures you had, you're getting a landfall trigger for each one. This one you've still got to target the copy with it, so and you may not want to do that. Next up we have Heartfire Hero. Its Valiant is whenever it becomes a target of a spell ability the first time, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then it has when Heartfire Hero dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. That's really powerful. Then we have Might of the Meek, a new instant buff spell. Target creature gains trampled in a turn. It also gets +1/+0 if you control a mouse. All our creatures are mice, so we will control a mouse, and we also get to draw a card as well, which is really, really good. Manifold Mouse is probably the most powerful card in the deck, or at least my favourite. It has Offspring 2, and again, this one is very powerful. So for 4, you get 2 of these. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, target mouse you control gains your choice of Double Strike or Trample to the end of turn. Double Strike is absolutely bonkers, and because this targets, say if you have a Heartfire Hero, it's a 1/1, you target it, it puts a counter on it, and now you've got a 2/2 Double Strike on turn 2. If you Offspring this, you get that trigger twice, so you could put Double Strike and Trample on one creature, or Double Strike on 2 creatures, or whatever is the best. Then we have Mable, who is a Mouse Lord, 3 mana 3/3, other mice you control get +1/+1, that's great. And it says when Mable ETBs, create Cragflame, a legendary colourless artifact equipment with a creature gets +1/+1 of vigilance, trample and haste. Those are some really, really powerful keywords, and it has equip 2. And what's really good is when you equip, you target a creature, so it triggers Valiant. So if you equip Cragflame onto Heartfire Hero, it's going to get a counter, then all those buffs, which is really, really powerful as well. And finally, just 2 copies of Whisker Vale Forerunner. It is an incredibly powerful card, but it is 4 mana, which is at the top end of our curve, basically. It's a 3/4, and its Valiant ability is look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less among them. You may put them onto the battlefield if it's your turn. If you don't put it on the battlefield, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So what's really good with this is you target it with something, you look for top 5, maybe you get a Manifold Mouse, which can then give it Double Strike, which a Double Strike of 3/4 is pretty good. The only problem is it's at the top of our curve, and playing this and activating this, ideally you want to do it the first turn. We do have ways to do it, but it's not the easiest. Then rounding out, and Patchwork Banner we played in our last deck as well. I just think for decks which are just very tribal themed, I think it's really good inclusion. It buffs your entire board, and it's a mana rock, so we choose mouse, every mouse gets +1/+0, which is great, and then it might let us double spell by acting as a mana rock as well. So the rest of the cards which are older, Cheeky House Mouse has a sorcery, target creature get control gets +1/+1 to the end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures power 3 or greater. A great way to trigger Valiant, and then it's just a 1 mana 2/1, which is a pretty decent rate and a good creature to buff. Monstrous Rage is just a great instant buff, and obviously triggers Valiant. Get Lost, we only have 2 copies as removal. 1, because we don't have removal in deck, and 2, this deck is susceptible to temporary lockdown, which doesn't come often, but there is a control deck that Covert Go Blue played in the pre-release, and I did play against it once, which does run temporary lockdown. So I put this in. Also, if you have it when you're up against Boros Convoke, you can take out their Knight Errant, which is a great way to take out a temporary lockdown. And then 4 copies of Raging Battle Mouse, which obviously is a mouse, and it has second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. It's a great way to double spell. But it has Celebration. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter the battlefield under your control this turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1 till end of turn. That triggers Valiant. It's not necessarily the easiest to trigger Celebration, but Mable does it by herself because it creates the sword Cragflame as well. So that's a great way. It's a great curve if you like Heartfire Hero, Raging Battle Mouse, and then Mable. Buff your entire board. You'll get 2 non-land permanents, so you can target the Heartfire Hero with your Battle Mouse, get a counter on it. That's a really good curve. Onto the land base, pretty basic. Plains, Mountains, Battlefield Forward, Inspiring Vantage. Rockface Village is a new land which we did play in our Lizard deck as well. Tassocarlus taps a red, but you can only spend it on creature spells, which can be a bit of an issue, if you want to play a Monstrous Rage or Might and the Meek on multiple ones. But its real ability is you can pay red and tap it to target Lizard, Mouse, Otter, or Raccoon you control, gets +1/+0 and gains haste in a turn, activate only as a sorcery. This is a great way to trigger, especially Whisker Val Forerunner, because it turns into a 4/4 haste, which is just great. But if you can play the Forerunner, give it haste, you'll target it, maybe you find a Manifold Mouse, then you give it double strike, and suddenly you've got a 4/4 double striker cracking in. That's the real key interaction, is triggering Valiant. That's the deck. It's a really fun deck, and it's a pretty powerful deck. Who knew mice were so scary? I hope you all enjoy it. If you do, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the gameplay. On the play, we can play Heartfire Hero turn 1, Manifold Mouse into Manifold Mouse. So it's a pretty good opening hand. And if we get a 3rd land, we can play Mable. We'll give a Heartfire Hero double strike. A 3rd land would be good. If not, we can just play out another Manifold Mouse, I suppose. I think they have removal. They do. Well, there is the land. We'll choose Mouse. And we'll give the Manifold Mouse, will give itself double strike. Let's see what they've got. So we do have another Manifold Mice. And then, yeah, we'll give Mable double strike, hit him for 6, and go from there. Well, no white mana. So I think we're going to have to mulligan. I think we put back the Forerunner. We can play Heartfire Hero. Up against the Prowess deck. But not mono red Prowess. Yeah, we've had a bit of a slow start, but next turn we can get out Mable, which will buff all our creatures. Only having one white, I think it's going to be a problem as well. Well, they clearly got a spell. I don't know why it's taking so long to think what to do with it. And we get a backup Mable. And because Mable created the sword, it calls Raging Battle Mouse to trigger as well. What I'll do, play the Patchwork Banner on Mouse. And then we can play out the mouse straight away. Let's buff Mable. I will attack with Mable because I do have a spare in hand. So we do have 2 mana up. Yeah, let's get him with everything. Did they assign blockers? They did not. So punt on their part. But good result for us. Well, no 1-drop. And no Valiant. This is better. We'll put back one of the Mables. Well, I think we have pretty much lost already. Being on the draw, having to mulligan. Well, Manifold Mouse was a good draw. They could have blocked with the Cacophony Scamp and killed Cheeky House Mouse from its on its death trigger. Oh, they hit 2 lands. I will take, well, 3 if not more. Yeah, that's annoying. We can get down Mable, which buffs House Mouse. And next turn we can, well, next turn we could have equipped Sword, Cragflame to one of our creatures, and then maybe might have the meat to see if what we drew would really help, or if we had a land drop, but in the end we didn't really need it. Well, we have our Valiant. Hopefully we draw something else, since it looks like we're up against Boros Convoke. I want to start buffing the hero, and I think getting down the Flowerfoot or Raging Battle Mouse wouldn't do anything, so no, we didn't block with it. But next turn we can get down the Battle Mouse and the Swordmaster. Which means we can put another counter on our Heartfire hero. Well, let's get down another Battle Mouse then. And just buff our Heartfire hero up to a 5/5. And next turn, depending on what we draw, we can get the Flowerfoot Swordmaster down and hopefully something else. Or the Forerunner. Or maybe just get down the Swordmaster and buff the hero with the village. That's an alright draw. We'll tap this for red. and swing in. And obviously we have Monstrous Rage. To buff something and give it trample. Obviously we knew they had that. Take out their Knight Errant and kill them. Perfect. So Swordmaster into Battle Mouse into Patchwork Banner, and then that'll allow us to play the Forerunner. Hopefully we draw obviously more action. Manifold Mouse, as always, would be fantastic. Mable's a very good draw as well. Mable will trigger Raging Battle Mouse when we play it. Have they got a cut down? I think they have a cut down. They do have a cut down. Are we just on full removal? See, Mable is out of cut down range. Okay, that was unexpected. Well, let's play out the banner. Well, I imagine they have a counterspell. If they do, I would rather they use it on this. And next turn, hopefully, we can get down the Manifold Mouse, give the Forerunner trample. Or not. What I quite like is the new red land, which I can't remember what it's called. Rockface Village. That's what it's called. And hopefully we can give this haste and trigger it. It's Valiant. We can pay for a counterspell. Wow, that's bonkers. Obviously, they're heavy removal. Do they have another one? They do not. If they remove it, we are in trouble. Well, let's see if we hit something this time. We do. We hit... let's go for the Heartfire hero. And then Offspring, the Manifold mouse. I am fully expecting them to have removal, although they don't seem to. And next turn we can play the banner, trigger the Forerunner again, assuming it's not dead, and go from there. They only have 1 mana left. With a 5/5 trampling double strike. Obviously kills everything. And we have a pretty good board. And next turn we can diversify. They might have a sweeper. They did put a Harvest of Misery into the graveyard. What do they take? Well, we're in a issue now. But we can give our house mouse haste and lethal, actually. Yes. That's pretty good. The Rockface Village coming in was key there. But trigger our Whisk of Out Forerunners and then give our house mouse haste for lethal. Heartfire hero turn 1, Manifold mouse turn 2 is a very, very good curve. So we will keep this. We didn't have cut down, so that's good. Wow. I mean, if they don't take Manifold mouse, they've done something very wrong there. But they are thinking about it. It shouldn't be a that tough choice. Especially seeing as the other cards we have multiples of. That's not the card I would have taken. And the problem is Tiny Bones can just chump it, but they don't. I will chump their Tiny Bones if they attack with it. A Manifold mouse would be really, really good. Do they draw? They do. Obviously, if they jump, we still do hit them for 6.
And you think you can win? Off you go.
That's not great. So we've got to hold back. This is where this deck can fall down. You kind of run out of steam. Haven't even got a land that can trigger Valiant. You know, and they're not far away from being able to cast Virtue.
We'd rather forget.
I didn't hostile investigator was any player. I thought it was just opponent. Again, without a way to trigger Valiant, that's not really doing much. And they can't be too far away from finding an answer for everything. They can play Virtue as well, which maybe they seem to have forgotten about. Do they tick up? Or tick down?
I'm tired of your secrets.
There's the Virtue. Well, this lets us trigger Valiant. And hit pretty much nothing. I think that's game over. Yeah, if we hit a Manifold mouse there, we would have been in business, but you know, there's no point carrying on, I don't think. Well, we've not no white mana, but we can Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse, which is a pretty good curve, and hopefully we draw white. And by white, I meant white lands, not white creatures. So there is white. Give a double strike hitting for 4. They put a trumpeting Carnosaur, so maybe on the Discover deck with Geological Appraiser. Well, we can play out the Battle Mouse and play out the Swordmaster. We will put this on the Swordmaster and put this on the Hero. But they're not in a great spot. I will chump the Cruel Claw with the Battle Mouse on the Swordmaster if it attacks. I won't now. Oh! Wow. That's not great. I don't know if we can actually do anything. Probably not. Only having one white mana doesn't help. Oh yeah, of course the House Mouse makes it unable to block. To be blocked. We'll just give it double strike. Yeah, the sorcery from the House Mouse forgot it stops it being able to be blocked from creatures with power 3 or greater. So that was beating a turn 3 or 4, turn 4 Atroxa. So yeah, that went pretty well. Two Manifold Mice is pretty powerful, and we can House Mouse on turn 1. I would like a Valiant creature. You're going to see what they take. So obviously we do have 2 Manifold mice. So they take one of them. As always with Magic, draw another one. We'll give it double strike and swing in. And next turn, if they don't take it, we can play another one. Well, we can play out both of the Raging Battle Mouse and the Manifold Mouse. And we will go all in on the Cheeky House Mouse. Hit for 6, although they might chump. Second Manifold Mouse is pretty good. We won't be triggering House Mouse, Raging Battle Mouse. But we can give both Cheeky House Mouse and Raging Battle Mouse double strike. They're down to 2. But then we will essentially do the same again. They're gonna have to block this time, even though that may not even be enough. Oh no, it will be. Down to 2, then we back up to 4, but we can start buffing the hero. But yeah, they were stuck on 2 mana, which you know, was really bad for them. But we only had 3, but that was enough for us. Hello Magic fans, and welcome back to the wrap up. MTG assistant is saying we played 6 games. We actually played a lot more than this, but the assistant didn't pick them all up for some reason. And it says we had a 66% win rate, which seems to be about right for the amount of games we did really play. That makes sense. It is a very powerful deck. It can be very, very fast, but you're relying on getting the correct curve. You ideally need a 1-drop, and there are 12 of them. Ideally, you want one to be a Valiant one. If you can curve Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse, say into Mable, you are laughing essentially. And if you can get the Forerunner down, give it haste with the land, trigger it, you know, it is bonkers. But there are games where you don't get those 1-drops and you've got a mulligan and suddenly you're playing with 5 or 6 cards and it's not quite the same. But that is the same for all decks, and especially obviously aggro decks. So I had a great time playing it. It's a really powerful deck, and I think going forward it's going to be one of the key ones in the standard. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.